Y'all are familiar with the Flash, right? He's this guy. His whole thing is that he's really fast. Look at him. Look at him go. He's catching bullets right there. But then right here, he's catching bullets. This has been a thing that's kind of frustrated me in a lot of media, even my own scripts that I've written over the years, like just characters having to be strong based on what the plot needs them to be. But I have an idea of how I might be able to deal with this. About a year and a half ago, I started playing D&D with some friends. It has been genuinely some of the most fun I've ever had in my entire life. It's very immersive, and a lot of the times, the combat feels like you're barely making it out by the skin of your teeth. Why is that even a saying, skin of your teeth? Like, I just said that. Is that even a saying? Am I crazy? I'm gonna Google that immediately. So apparently it comes from the Bible. I think it's somewhere in Job. I don't recall, but basically it's like, yeah, I barely escaped by the skin of my teeth. And the whole point of it is like, yeah, I don't have skin on my teeth. So that's how narrowly I avoided death and destruction. So D&D is inconsistently consistent, which makes no sense, I know, but let me break it down a second. So you have something called a skill modifier, which is basically just a number you get to add to a dice roll to determine whether or not you succeed at an action. You get different modifiers for different skills based on what your character is good at. And when you start out, it doesn't really feel very consistent at all. You can walk up and try to hit a guy with your sword, but because you're not super talented because you're level 1, the chance is about like 50-50 normally, or even less than that on whether or not you're going to succeed at hitting a character that you're fighting. But as your character grows and their skill increases, their chance of success grows also, making it feel more consistent. Even if you miss a punch, you can flavor it as a bad guy manages to dodge out of the way, or I don't quite manage to grab a ledge of a rock that I tried to jump to, or the rock crumbles, right? And while sometimes you fail, more and more often, if you're good at a skill, you're going to succeed over and over and over again. And the thing is, these numbers don't change unless you show a character getting stronger or getting weaker, making that character feel consistent in their inconsistency, because the numbers just don't lie, baby. So how the heck are we going to make this dang thing work, huh? We got to make our very own gosh darn rootin' tootin' TTRPG! We will use this TTRPG system to run combat for the show. We'll reset it, make adjustments to make sure it feels tense enough, and just kind of take the results of that, make it stylized, and boom, we got a fight. The reason for this is to help my brain think outside of the box. When I have both my hands on the steering wheel, it can make fights and moments feel very rigid. If I have too much control and I know where I would normally take the story, then it can make things be predictable. It can make things be boring. Taking that control away from me and making me be more reactive in trying to keep the story going despite all of the chaos happening sounds kind of very fun and potentially very interesting. It may not be really necessary to do this, but it's an experiment and one that I happen to be kind of in love with. If it doesn't work super well, we can always pivot, improve, and add on or whatever we need to as we go. So with all that being said, let's get started. Making a TTRPG breaks down into a few sections, with the first being player character creation, which breaks down into more sections, races, lore, and stats, which is what we're going to talk about in this video. An iconic part of D&D and other TTRPGs is the different races and classes you can play as. So I wanted to incorporate something somewhat similar in our system as well. The main difference will be that instead of selecting both race and class, you just select race, with the exception being human. I took this direction for both story and world building reasons, but it also serves to separate our system a little bit and make it our own. So with all that being said, here are the main races of our fantasy world. Water elves, snow elves, woodland elves, stone elves, desert elves, a lot of elves, fairies, trolls, orcs, and humans. We'll get into more details for each race in future videos, but as for right now, we're just gonna leave it at that. Lore! After typing out all the races, I wrote a few city ideas and some history for each city, history for each race as well. This is a great start for a nicely fleshed out background and a world that feels alive outside of our main characters. I felt kind of like an HGTV host saying that, I don't know why. This will also greatly help for the map making process, which we'll be talking about later at some point as well. Humans in the show will be different from the rest of the races. Instead of being the main and controlling power of the world, like I think most series kind of are, like they have the humans as the most powerful. Doesn't matter. I thought it would be interesting if they're a race with like the least amount of power. Water elves can create tsunamis with their connection to nature, and trolls can move mountains, metaphorically, with their great strength. So like what can humans do against such power? Well, for many millennia, nothing. But at some point, for spoilery reasons, some humans developed the ability to do magic. With such power, the other races begrudgingly allowed humans a seat at the table, and they were able to have cities of their own and to start making a mark on the world and stuff. But they're still not quite as powerful as the other races. They're still a little nervous and yeah. I cast
Segway!
Up next, we got stats. Every race mentioned before will fall somewhere on a level 1 to level 20 scale, increasing in endurance, power, and abilities with every step towards level 20. So I started the process by writing up level increases for all the different races and 11 magic classes for humans. I also want to create a leveling system for non-magical humans that only goes up to like level 10 or something to demonstrate how screwed humans are without magic. The next part of this process is ongoing and is called balancing. It's the process of making two creatures at say like level 10 feel like they're both at level 10. It's ongoing, but this is what the process looks like so far. Just a lot of comparing a lot of stats at different levels, noticing inconsistencies, and correcting. After all that is completed, I'm going to be running some combat tournaments at different levels and uploading the live play of these fights to our Patreon. And speaking of our Patreon,
I cast Humble Thanksgiving!
Special shout out to our beloved Patreons. You guys are helping me to believe in this little dream of ours a little bit more every single day. I apologize to you guys and everybody on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, wherever you're watching this, for the content dry spell we've had for the past couple, months. I've been having some health troubles for a long time now, and I'm finally trying to get them sorted. On top of that, I had a doctor misread a chart, and basically, I thought I was in a pretty serious situation. Thankfully, that is not the case, and I'm doing okay. I'm stable, and I'm well, but that is kind of what caused the last little disappearance of Ransfen's animation off the face of the planet. On top of that, I'm just not always able to work on this stuff with life and work and bills, so you guys' patience is super appreciated as we're still growing as a YouTube channel. So that's going to be all for today, gang. Should be less of a wait for the next video, hopefully. You guys have a wonderful day!